guys, it's Monica Moore Smith. I am, if you don't know, an actress here in Utah. I'm 19 years old. I have done a lot of films for the church. I just recently had a movie that's about to come out on DVD, and it just released in a bunch of theaters around the US called Saturday's Warrior, if you've heard of it. I played Julie Flinders. And I'm 19, did I say that? I'm attending BYU currently right now in Provo. I'm a BYU fan. And yeah, I love Nutella and Netflix. My first audition was when I was 12 years old, and I auditioned for a local play called The Best Christmas Pageant Ever. And I was like a sports girl. I was not super outgoing at all. And, you know, sports was kind of my thing. And so to audition for this, it like scared me out of my mind. But I really wanted to audition for this. I read the book and I don't know, this was something I wanted to do. And I went to the audition, and the director is like 10 feet away from me, like if even that. And I have the script, and I'm looking at the script, and I'm trying to read the lines, and the director cannot hear me. I'm whispering, I'm barely talking because I'm so terrified. And she's right there, and she's like, louder, 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 talk louder. And I'm still just like staring at my script, whispering the lines. And we finish the scene, and then the director gives me another chance to do it again, but this time louder. And I get up there, I'm looking at my script. The script is like becoming wet because of how clammy my hands are, and they're like molding into my hands, and I'm staring at it, and I'm shaking, and I'm so nervous. And I just whisper the whole thing again, and she can't even hear me. So I actually got in, surprisingly. That was like by a miracle, because I like she couldn't even hear me. So I guess I got lucky. Maybe the original actress like dropped out, I don't know. But yeah, so I got into the show, and I got like one of the smallest parts. I had maybe 2-3 lines, just like a side character that no one pays attention to kind of role. And that's kind of like my first acting experience. And you know, it wasn't until really though high school that I decided to, you know, actually pursue it, and I stopped doing sports, and I went to a performing arts high school and started doing that, you know, full time, and dance and singing and acting classes all day, all night. But that was my first experience, and I started just with my 3 little lines, and from there I worked hard and worked my way up, and was able to get past my crazy amount of stage fright. And I cried after the audition, just so you know. I bawled my eyes out, but I don't generally cry after auditions now, so I have gone somewhere from there. Saturday's Warrior, that one I could talk about for hours on end. To give an example, the cast and crew we are so incredibly tight. We have a group text that we still consistently have going. It's been a year since we filmed this, and we still, just yesterday, I was texting the whole group, just like making jokes and messing around and talking about who knows what. But we are literally just it's like my second family. And I don't think there has ever been a cast and crew that I have been on that has come so close and really just taken the time to put their heart into a project, and to just create a great space for all of us to work and to share our talents and to be in, a vulnerable position. And especially, doing this movie when you've got this massive crew and you've got a crane floating above your head and, all these extras everywhere and all these costumes and sets and all this money and time being spent on your scene, that can be pretty nerve-wracking. So to have a cast and crew and a director that I can trust and that are just loving and selfless, it really creates for a really special environment. And not only that, I think it translates into a really great film. Also, what I love about working with like the Motion Picture Studio, for example, the LDS Motion Picture Studio, a lot of sets I'll go on that are not affiliated with the church. Sometimes the environment is not the best, especially in this business, and it's really refreshing to be able to go onto a church set and just to be around people who support the same kind of standards you do, and you don't feel like you have to defend yourself, because sometimes you can get attacked for your beliefs and that can be rough. So it's nice to have an environment where that's celebrated and not looked down upon. I think I've been very fortunate and blessed to have so many people around me that have been incredibly positive and supportive and just, a great uplifting group of friends and coworkers and family, parents. Shout out to you. And so I, in a way it's hard because there is a lot of criticism, but I have to at least say kudos to all the people that have been positive in my life. But to the negative things, or the things that are, with acting, it can be rough because you are your product. Normally when someone invents something, they advertise that product, they put it out there, and the product gets criticized. But when you're an actress, you are the product itself. And when you're putting yourself out there, you're putting yourself out there to be criticized for everything from your looks to your talent to your personality to your work ethic to what you eat. I mean, you never know. So that can be rough. I think that you have to look at different critiques and who's giving you the critique, and you have to decide what is helpful versus what is just hurtful. And I think when I go to a coach to coach my acting, yes, hearing things of critiques of your performance can be hard to hear because no one likes to hear that they make mistakes. But it's something I think it's good to get acclimated to and be able to take with a grain of salt, because hearing those things and being able to take those critiques and learn from them and grow from them is what is going to push you further in your career. And not only in your career, but I think in life, when you're able to examine yourself and your talents and what you're doing with them, and able to look at those from an analytical perspective and be able to say, how can I improve, or where can I be better in certain areas? I think that is really what pushes people further. Even though it can be hard at first, it benefits you more in the long run. And, I think there's other negativity that may not be critiques that are helpful. Maybe they're just to some people judging you wrongfully, but I think you just have to focus on the good, positive people around you, on why you're in the business, what your purpose is, and as long as you are striving to fulfill that purpose, the other voices don't really matter, and it just takes some practice getting used to that. But I think having a good support system and a good mindset always helps. The most challenging part, I would say, is that it is very taxing. It is taxing both, emotionally, mentally, and physically. It covers all areas. And, for example, I did a music video called Running, and I did another music video where the whole entire time I was running, and I just spent a whole, a day and a half shoot, just most of it literally running. And when you're doing that over and over and over and over again for hours and hours on end, and it's hot and you're covered in fake blood and you're running around and you're going uphill, back and forth, no stop, that can be very physically taxing because you only see a little bit on screen. You only get a little snippet of that, but really, I've been running for hours. So physically, especially if you're doing a show, that can be very taxing. And then emotionally, you are constantly putting your heart out there and you're constantly opening up and having to be raw and emotional in order to move people in film and on stage. That's a part of your job as an actor, is to access those real emotions. In order to do that, you have to put yourself out there and be vulnerable, and that can be really hard. And also mentally, acting is it's all a mental game, trying to figure out how to access your emotions in the right way in order to move a story along. That requires some smarts. I think sometimes people think artsy people aren't the brightest, but there are some difficult aspects about acting that definitely require your brain. And it's not an exact science, so it's something you have to kind of figure out on your own with the help of others. So it requires a lot. It requires a lot. And to put all that out there and to possibly be rejected over and over and over again is rough. But it is so incredibly rewarding that it is worth it. And I think what I find most rewarding is one example that I always like, the first thing that pops to mind is the bullying video that I did for the church called Bullying Stop It. I played this girl named Melissa who gets severely cyberbullied and bullied in person from some boys at her school. And reading the comments on this video, it's got, I don't know how many millions of views, 4 million something. And there are all these comments of people who relate to this and who've been going through it, and this helps them get them through it. And one comment I saw was someone who he himself personally bullied someone, and he was the bully. And he gave an example of this kid at his school that he had not been very nice to, and this kid would sit at lunch alone by himself every day. And he said that for the first time he went and sat by that kid because of this video. And because he realized what he was doing was hurting someone, he decided to change after watching the video. And I think that is an amazing example of how you can use your talents to make a better world and to change people. And I think that is what keeps me going in this business and what keeps me performing, and what is so rewarding is when I know that I have taken talents that are God-given and things that of course I've worked on, but everything, nothing is really mine. And I have to give credit to all the people around me and to the Lord for this, and to know that I used that in a way that was helpful is the most rewarding thing. So yeah, I paid for a lot of my classes, and heaven knows there were a billion classes I've taken throughout high school, and how I paid for them was through cleaning toilets. I was a janitor at my school, a very glamorous job, and I think I I think it's cool to be proud of whatever job you're doing. Hard work is hard work. So I was cleaning toilets and everyone saw me cleaning toilets, and there's nothing wrong with that. The toilets they don't clean themselves. And I think, hard work is good work. And I was a janitor. I also worked front desk jobs as a secretary, kind of a little bit there as well. I organized, I babysat, mowed lawns. I also taught musical theater classes. I also served concessions at a bunch of the BYU football and basketball games. And yeah, none of them were, I guess, what you typically say are like glamorous jobs, but I think, whatever you're working at, whether it's McDonald's or you're a CEO somewhere, I think it's important that you're working and that you're striving to use your abilities for good and to support yourself and be independent. So be proud of it. So I don't talk about this to make you guys feel bad for me, that, oh my gosh, I had to pay for my classes and that must have been so hard. My parents did this purposefully. They did this so that we would learn the value of hard work. When I went to my classes, whether it be ballet, voice, acting, I knew how much those classes cost because I paid for them. I knew how much those classes were worth because I spent hours cleaning toilets to pay for them. And I really took advantage of those classes. I worked hard. I worked my butt off. I did not, mess around, dink around. It was serious to me. And I got the most out of the classes because I understood the value of them. You appreciate something much more when it's your own money and not someone else's money being spent on it. So I am grateful for my parents for doing that, even though at the time it may have seemed rough. And, getting up at 5 a.m. to be a janitor is, sometimes not that fun. But I don't think I would have improved nearly as much as I did had I not understood how important that was. I think you understand the value of things more when you earn them. I love the saying that says there's no such thing as a free lunch, because even if you get something for free, if it was given to you, someone had to pay for it. So I am glad, maybe not at the time, but now that my parents helped me learn how to be independent and learn how to work for the things I wanted. And also it taught me early on when I was younger how to budget. And if you spend all your money, then you don't have any money and then you can't pay for anything. And it's a much easier lesson to learn when you're younger than when you're older and you have things like a house and a mortgage. So yeah, it was hard, but I often find, no great things come from inside the comfort zone. Really the most rewarding things are the hardest to come by and require the most work. So if it's working you hard, it's probably a good thing. Don't drink all the juice. Name that Mormon message. Something my parents would quote a lot is, don't give up what you want most for what you want at the moment. So for example, if you want good grades, you should study for your quizzes and your tests and work hard so that you can get good grades. So even though in the moment studying does not sound good and you'd rather procrastinate it and you'd rather do something else in the moment, really what you want in the end is to have good grades so you can get into college. So even though what you want in the moment may not be the studying, remember what you want most. Make sure that your decisions point you to your long-term goal. A quote that I heard today in church was, decisions determine your destiny. And I think I have that pinned on my Pinterest board, pretty sure a couple times. And it's so basic and so simple, but considering the fact that we're not perfect, we obviously forget it a lot. And it's just important to remember that you decide a lot of what goes on in your life. I mean, a lot of it is out of your control, but there's lot of bad consequences that we can avoid if we so choose. I think one of the obvious things that it affects is that I do church videos and I do stuff for the church and stuff that promotes the gospel and promotes good values. Of course, there's sometimes you will work on projects where you just go in for a day and you just have a small role and you don't know the whole scope of the whole entire project. So there's some times where you might do a print ad or a photo. You could be a stock photo, and it gets used in ways that you don't always have control over. So there's sometimes, I think it's good to realize when you see actors that sometimes there's certain things we don't have control over, or we think one project is going to be one way, and we know our part, but maybe the rest of the movie is different. So there's certain things that are kind of out of our hands, or projects we've done or film we've done can be abused and people can use it in different ways. And that's kind of art, and that's kind of how it works. So there are certain things that I don't always have control over, but I try my best to choose things that have a good message. And on top of the good message and a good moral, I think if you look at the Bible or even the Book of Mormon, which I am taking a Book of Mormon class right now, there is obviously bad stuff happening. They don't just cut out all the bad stuff, and they don't just have Nephi on his good days. They also have Laman and Lemuel and them tying him up and them murmuring and them attempting to kill people and all the crazy stuff. And though that is bad stuff, it is a good message, and I think that's kind of the point. So I am okay with playing flawed characters and characters that maybe have some issues, but I think the important thing is the overall message. And I think we can use imperfections and flaws in characters to push out a good moral. And I think the scriptures are an amazing example of that, because there are so many flawed people in them, and that's what the world is made up of, is flawed people. And that, I believe, is what I'm trying to do with my art, is to use that and as a good medium and to show mistakes people have made, so you don't have to make them for yourself, or to inspire you, or who knows. But I just want to make that clear, that it's a balance between the content but what comes out as the overall coming message. Because sometimes you may see a movie that maybe not be an extreme rating, but what kind of message is it putting out there? I think that's sometimes more important. I think we get so caught up in the content that we forget that sometimes the message is really important too. For example, the bullying video, there were a bunch of great guys and they all went on missions. So the guys who were bullying me, they were obviously playing characters that were not doing some great things. And that's okay. I think sometimes, I'm okay with playing certain characters that, maybe bully someone, but the message of the story is not bullying is okay. It's showing you the repercussions of bullying and how it's hurtful and what happens when you treat someone like that, and that it's not a good thing. These guys are all great. None of them actually bullied me in real life. They're all RMs and they're all fantastic. And I think it just goes to show that you may play a certain character, or I may play a certain character, but I think it's about the moral that comes out. Because the bullying video obviously is encouraging a great story. And they did not bully me in real life, I promise. I think one of the things that it does in my performing is that we're always taught that we are given talents, and some people are given 5, some people are given 1, they're all different, but whatever we're given, we should use those talents for good. We should use those talents to magnify the light of Christ. And that really sticks with me, and that really determines the choices I make in my career and my motivations in it, and I think that's one of the things also that helps me get past the negativity and the hard things in this business is that I know that there's a greater purpose in it. And I'm, as much as I did a commercial for Sinclair, a gas station. It was really fun, but what I really love is, Saturday's Warrior or the Mormon Messages I've done, because those are really purpose-driven and those change lives. And the gospel has helped me figure out what my goal is in my career and why I do it, other than just, I think it's fun, because I don't think enjoying performing and thinking it's fun is going to push me past the negativity. And I think the gospel is really help not only have purpose and feel like I'm doing something useful with my life, but I think also the Lord magnifies your talents in ways you can't. I think you can work as hard as you want, and I think even with anything in life, if you're studying for a test or if you're trying to serve someone or trying to drive somewhere, and driving is scary. I know from personal experience I don't like driving. The Lord can make you grow in ways that you couldn't by yourself, and that applies to all areas of life. And in that way, I don't think I would be where I'm at without Him. So not only has it affected how I think about things, but also I know there is a lot of help coming from up there that is not only, and it comes from other people too, using their talents to glorify Christ and to serve others. So it's really coming from all different places, and I think He influences in more ways than I probably even know. I couldn't tell you, because I did not see myself 5 years ago where I am now. So I don't know, but I can tell you what I hope I will be doing in 5 years. I hope that I'm happy. I hope that I am still using my talents for good, and I hope that I can look back at myself now and see that I have improved and grown as a human and as an artist, and that I can be proud of myself in the future, and that whatever I'm doing is something that I will want to show my kids and something that I won't want to feel embarrassed about. And that, whether or not I'm super successful on everyone's terms, I hope that I am successful in the Lord's eyes and in my parents' eyes. And I don't know what specifically that entails, but I don't think that's the important part. I don't think it matters if, I'm seen as way awesome to everyone else, or I've moved up and gone to Hollywood, and, as long as I am leaving places better than when I found them, then I think I'm happy. Thank you for watching this interview. Thanks for taking the time. I hope I gave some insightful things, or something that was useful to you, or if not, funny, or put a smile on your face, or you realize this was a waste of time. I don't know. Or you're like, oh, I like your earrings, and you found some cool earrings, or something. Hopefully you got something out of this. Thanks for spending time with me. Watch Saturday's Warrior.